In my previous video, I showed you some of the human evidence for nicotinamide riboside supplements, a well-known anti-aging NAD booster supplement. But in my quest to produce a podcast on this topic, I discovered extra human studies that I neglected to show you in the first video. So let me show you part 2 of my series on the human proof for nicotinamide riboside supplements. Again, I would point you to the original video I did on this, which I just titled Nicotinamide Riboside, the Human Proof. Again, I went through much more studies in that video than I will here, but let me move on to the studies in this video. So we've got this one. The effect of nicotinamide riboside on endocrine pancreatic function and incretin hormone levels in non-diabetic men with obesity. So I would point out here that these were overweight guys. They didn't have diabetes, but they did have pre-diabetes. They had insulin resistance, which is one of the hallmarks of pre-diabetes, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. It's a 3-month study. 40 guys, they're given 2,000 milligrams of nicotinamide riboside a day. That's a lot, or a placebo. And what do they find after this study is over? So not really the greatest things. Nicotinamide riboside, did not affect fasting blood sugar levels. Didn't do that. It also didn't help blood sugar levels after they drank a very sugary drink as well. Insulin didn't change, glucagon didn't change, GLP-1, beta cell function didn't change. Beta cells are the cells that make insulin. So none of that changed. So what I would point out here is this is the 3rd study that I've seen on humans that appear to show nicotinamide riboside does not help people with pre-diabetes and diabetes. Something to think about if you're taking it for this reason. And then we have this investigation, the acute short-term nicotinamide riboside supplementation improves redox homeostasis and exercise performance in older individuals, double-blind crossover study. So right off the bat, it kind of tells you what's going on here. Again, small study. You got 12 people who in their 20s, 12 people in their 70s, and again, here's essentially the summary of what happened. Nicotinamide riboside, it improves these compounds here called NADH and NADPH. I'm not going to go too much into the weeds here. Just realize these are related compounds, and they do play a role in mitochondrial function and antioxidants and stuff like that. So those levels do increase, yes. They also noticed that there was a tendency to increase glutathione in the older people. What's glutathione? Glutathione is often called the master antioxidant. And as we get older, we tend to decrease glutathione. So this is a good thing, but I would point out when you see tended means no significant increase. In other words, no clinically significant increase, but it tended to increase. Okay, I know they choose their words really weird when they do these studies sometimes, but there was an increase, but it wasn't significant enough to say the word significant. But in the older adults as well, they noticed that there was an increase in essentially peak strength in their thigh muscles. Again, that was a significant amount here. Again, it was about 8%. They put them on a kind of a fancy leg extension machine, and they found that their maximum strength improved in their thighs, again, roughly 8%. And they didn't fatigue as easily either. So it was a reduction in fatigue in their muscles by roughly 15%. I would point out, however, the younger people, no, none of these benefits occurred in the younger people at all, which again makes me wonder, is it possible nicotinamide riboside works differently in older people than younger people? Something to think about if you're in your 20s and you're taking this supplement now. And then we have this investigation, which I kind of went back and forth whether I was going to bring it to you or not, because it's not really the kind of study I would like to see, but boosting NAD levels suppresses inflammatory activation in peripheral blood mononuclear cells. These are cells in your blood, essentially, in people with heart failure. And when they had heart failure, they had really bad heart failure. They call it stage D heart failure. Those are people that usually do not respond to treatment. So we've got 19 people with really bad heart failure. 19 people who are healthy. They give them nicotinamide riboside supplements for several days. They measure their blood. They take blood out of their bodies, and they find that the supplement actually helped their blood cells work a little bit better. So they tended to work better, and that's good. I would point out, it didn't get any of these people out of the hospital. It did not cure stage D heart failure at all. Okay. And also, the other thing is it also reduced inflammation in some of the people. Again, that's interesting. This is essentially a blood cell study, but it did involve some humans, and I like that, and that's why I wanted to include this for full disclosure. And then we come to this very interesting investigation. Came out in 2019, efficacy and tolerability of EH301 for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. That's Lou Gehrig's disease, named after the famous baseball player of the 40s, but it's also the medical condition that Stephen Hawking had, the famous theoretical physicist. So if you've never heard of EH301, and why would you? It makes sense you wouldn't, because it's better known as Elysium Basis. This is another NAD booster dietary supplement, and it is a composition of 250 milligrams of nicotinamide riboside coupled with 50 milligrams of pterostilbene. And pterostilbene, if you've never heard of that, it's a phytonutrient. It's found in blueberries and grapes. It's sometimes billed as the new resveratrol, but that's a story for another day. But so they basically gave the people with ALS this Elysium Basic supplement for 4 months, or a placebo. So I like the fact it was placebo or the supplement itself. And they come to some very interesting conclusions. In the people taking the Elysium supplement, they showed clinically significant improvements in speech, handwriting ability, swallowing, and salivation, all big issues with people with ALS. However, those taking the placebo, they got worse. In addition to that, those with ALS who took the Elysium supplement, their muscle strength improved, while those who were taking a placebo, they got worse, they got weaker. And then there was an improvement, a significant improvement in lung function by about 20%. The ability of their lungs to exhale air out of the lungs, that increased by about 20%. So very, very interesting. I want to see more research on ALS, because it is a horrific disorder, as anybody who knows anybody who has this disorder would tell you. But that's the lay of the land right now, gang. Do go back and see the part 1 of my nicotinamide riboside human research series. I'll link to it in the description so you can easily find it. And again, this will give you an idea of, again, whether it's going to help you and whether you're taking the amounts that is actually in the human clinical studies. Dosages in the supplements versus dosages used in the clinical studies. Go check that out for more. Until next time, I'm Joe Cannon. Go out, be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.